back to my channel. I am Sanya and you're watching Psycho Spirited Away. In last video we discussed about what is the meaning of yoga exactly, and in this video we will talk about what are different ways to reach the state of yoga. First is Gyan Yoga, which is path of knowledge. So in this system of yoga, the emphasis is on self-knowledge. The Gita occasionally mentions it as Sankhya Yoga as well. Through the practice of intellectual discrimination, the Jnani focuses on realizing the self, which is distinct from all physical designations and contamination. Self-realization is considered as the ultimate goal of perfection. So eventually all four systems of yoga are going to lead us to self-realization, but the path of knowledge is going to take us through knowledge itself, that you're attaining the knowledge that you're not your mind and you're not your body, you're just your soul, you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions. The way we reach that level of self-realization is by studying, by understanding ourselves. Self-realization is considered as the ultimate goal of perfection. The practice of Gyan Yoga is based on self-effort without support of God's grace. Now this is based on self-effort. There are people who really want to put efforts without anyone's help, even they don't want God's help. So this is the path for those people who think and who know that they are capable of achieving self-realization without God's grace. Hence, it is a difficult path and there is danger of downfall at every step. Now comes Ashtang Yoga, which is the eightfold path. You must have heard of Maharishi Patanjali, where he has given those eightfold paths, which is called Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So this is one systematic way of reaching self-realization. So it involves a gradual process of purification, beginning with mechanical practices and progressing to the control of mind. In it, the life force is raised through the Sushumna Nadi in the spinal column. It is brought between the eyebrows, which is the region of the third eye, the inner eye. It is then made to focus on Supreme Lord with great devotion. This process was presented in structured system of practice containing 8 stages by Maharishi Patanjali in the famous text written by him called Yoga Sutras. Thereby, it came to be known as Ashtang Yoga or the eightfold system of yoga. There is another variation, which is Hatha Yoga, in which the emphasis is on austerities, means strictness with oneself. The Hatha Yogi strives to gain mastery over the mind and senses by exercising the force of willpower. Then comes Bhakti Yoga, which is the path of devotion. This path involves attaching the mind to the abodes, associates, names, forms, virtues, and pastimes of God through selfless and exclusive love. One develops a loving relationship with God by seeing Him as the eternal Father, Mother, Master, or Soul Beloved. By surrendering to Him and uniting the individual will with the divine will, the devotee attracts the grace of God and achieves the goal of spiritual perfection more easily than by the other paths. Although the Bhagavad Gita embraces all the systems of yoga, it consistently emphasizes the path of bhakti as the most superior form or system of yoga. This repeated pronouncement of Sri Krishna that he can only be known through bhakti is highlighted in the commentary to dispel the misconception among some about bhakti being an inferior system of yoga. So Sri Krishna has recommended this form of yoga many times in Bhagavad Gita, because this is where you develop love for God. Now comes Karma Yoga, which is path of action. Karma refers to performing one's worldly obligations and responsibilities, while yoga refers to union with God. So the practice of uniting the mind with God, even while doing one's obligatory duties in the world, is Karma Yoga. Aaiye baithiye aap, baith jaiye. This requires detaching the mind from the fruits of actions by developing a resolute conviction of the intellect that all work is meant solely for the pleasure of God. So if you are someone who can't really follow other forms of yoga and you have to be in this world and you have to discharge the duty, there is no way out. because we all are kind of obliged to do a lot of things. We have families, we have friends, we have to meet a lot of expectations of all the people around us. So it's better that we follow this path if we can't follow any other path. So what does this path say is that whatever you are performing, you perform it for the will of God. But you do your duty, do not attach your mind to the consequences or attach your mind to the fruits of your action. This requires detaching the mind from fruits of actions by developing a resolute conviction of the intellect that all work is meant solely for the pleasure of God. And if you do it, you'll never do wrong in this world. Thus, the Gita occasionally refers to it as Buddhi Yoga or the yoga of the intellect. Now, he is also saying, since most people practice spirituality while living in household life and discharging their worldly duties, Karma Yoga becomes necessary for them alongside with any other system of yoga they may pursue. Now, you can pursue two system of yoga, but since you are already in this material world and you're performing your duties, it's better that you start with Karma Yoga. अब हमारी भगवद गीता शुरू होगी. So until now there was just some important terminologies that we understood. So let me give you a brief summary of what all we have studied until now. So first we started with defining what is God. There were definitions of God which we understood, that there is Brahman, there is Paramatma, and then there is Bhagavan. Then we talked about what is soul and from where the soul is coming. Then we also talked about the three gunas, the modes of nature, Rajogun, Tamogun, Sattvagun. And then we also talked about that only when we attain the grace of God, that is when we are able to transcend beyond these three gunas and transcend the material nature, because when we attach our mind to God, and since He is transcendental in nature, we also transcend to His level. Then we learnt about what is sacrifice or yajna or yajna in Sanskrit, and how people who are worshipping celestial gods, they do it for material benefit, but that is not recommended in Bhagavad Gita. They say that you should always sacrifice because there's love for God. And how the sacrifice should be done. Sacrifice should always be done in divine consciousness. Divine consciousness means whatever you are performing, you're not performing for yourself, you're performing for the will of God. It should not be done for material benefits, because eventually no desire is ever fulfilled, and it's kind of a loop where you are stuck again and again. Even if it gets fulfilled, let's say you're praying to God and then you're asking for material benefit, let's say you get those benefits, eventually you'll suffer more. So what should you ask for when you sacrifice or when you do anything or you pray to God? You should always be, first of all, thankful for everything that you have, and then you should ask for more bhakti or devotion or love for God. And why are we even studying about Bhagavad Gita, and why do we have to know about God? Because when we know more about God, we develop love for God. If we don't know who is God, we will never develop love for Him, and then we'll be lost in this material world. Then we also talked about what is celestial God. Celestial gods are like Indra Dev, Varun Dev, Agni Dev, and when we make offerings to them, even though they are rewarding us with material benefits, that is not the ultimate goal that we want to reach. That is why in Bhagavad Gita, it is recommended that we should only pray to one Supreme Lord. Beyond this entire material realm, which is 1/4 of the creation, there is spiritual realm as well. So this realm is for those souls which have not achieved spiritual perfection, and once you achieve spiritual perfection, you can come to this side of the creation. And there we have different kind of loks, which is Saket Lok, Vaikunt Lok, Shiv Lok, Devi Lok, and so on. Then we also learnt about what is surrender and why one should surrender. Only by surrendering one can achieve God's grace, and once you have the grace of God, only then all your worries and all your tensions and all your fears will go away automatically. Then we learned about what is the meaning of yoga, what are the definitions of yoga, and now we learned in this video what are the 4 paths of yoga or systems of yoga. So I'll see you in the next video, where we will be actually starting reading Bhagavad Gita. And to end this video, I would like to thank Swami Mukundanand for writing Bhagavad Gita in such an easy way and explaining it to people like me who used to dread Bhagavad Gita earlier, and I never thought I would be reading Bhagavad Gita at this age. but it is something which has really impacted my life, and that is why I'm going to read it throughout this year.